What is up, you guys? Welcome back. I have been struggling to get back out in the garage. All of the turkey and ham has been weighing me down from Thanksgiving. And not to mention that we have officially gotten our first snow day here in Kansas. And I'm going to show you guys what that looks like, because we usually don't get very much snow here anymore. But this weather right here makes me just want to sit inside and watch YouTube videos all day. We got 8.5 inches of snow. We have not gotten this much snow since 2006, they say. But take a look at this, you guys.
Got him! Got him!
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, we went from 50-degree days and then bam, snow. But anyways, I'm super excited to get back into the garage now and finally start wrapping up some things that we got on the Lamborghini. And where we left off with that is we got all of our super nice powder coated parts installed, along with our exhaust and just everything else. I got a little bit of an update on that e-gear system. We also went ahead and made a punch list. So I got the parts over here, and we're gonna need to start hammering away on that. So let's go ahead and just get right into it. Making some progress with our punch list. Like you guys saw, the first thing I went ahead and did was wrap our hot side with this heat wrap. Really pretty impressed with the color and everything. That was actually my first time ever doing anything like this, and one thing I do recommend is make sure you wear gloves and try your best to not get it on your skin, because that stuff is super itchy. I think it has some sort of fiberglass or Kevlar in it. I'm really not 100% sure, but you don't want to find out because it's pretty itchy. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. These little zip ties are a little weird to figure out, so I had to actually look up a video on that, but they weren't too bad after I got the concept of them. So pretty much what this heat wrap does, though, is it keeps the heat away from, other parts that you don't want that could potentially be flammable. And like, for example, I got my e-gear lines running here under, and that could potentially be a fire hazard. So I'm hoping with the heat wrap around the lines and, the hot side being heat wrapped, that should be fine, because basically these are just regular hoses. And actually, I think there might be steel braided under, but still, we don't want to take any chances on any fires because that would be really bad. But yeah, either way, overall, super happy with how that came out. If you guys saw me welding that bung and you're wondering what that's for, so it was on our cold side, and I'm not very happy with the welds, but they could be better. So what that right there is for, it is a intake air temperature sensor. That's where it's gonna be screwed into. And this is actually the sensor right here. And if you noticed, I did break it on accident, and I may or may not have chewed up the first thread on that bung. So I gotta run a tap through that. And I don't know what it is with me and threads, but we don't click. We end up getting into a situation, and it seems like we've been getting into that situation a lot lately. But that's a super easy fix. I just got to go buy a tap and run a tap through it. What else I did? Oh, I went ahead and mounted this vibrant vacuum blocks. What I think I am gonna work on next though is this sensor right here. I got this one in the mail today, and this is the part number on it. But what this is, it's a flex fuel sensor. So this is gonna read the ethanol content in the gas tank. And pretty much what that does is it'll tell the computer how much ethanol content is in the gas, and it'll adjust the tune accordingly. So if I want to run this car on pump gas, I can, or if I want to run it on E85, all I got to do is just put it in the car and the computer will automatically pick that up. So pretty cool trick, or a pretty cool deal for this turbo application. And this is the fancy little sensor holder deal that I got for it. I'm thinking about mounting this one on the firewall right here, because you got to actually tap into one of the fuel lines or return lines, and I think that's probably going to be the best place for it. But that's my next project. I'm gonna see how that goes, and then we'll decide from there what we do next. I did a little more research on that flex fuel sensor, and I came to the conclusion I'm not going to be tapping into the feed line for it. I'm actually going to be changing it up and tapping into the return line, and let me tell you guys why. So that sensor is a 3/8 SAE, and I am running a -8 feed line. So if you go to your little conversion chart on the internet, -8 is actually equivalent to 1/2 inch. So that could possibly cause a restriction with our feed hose being larger than the outlets on that flex fuel sensor. So I'm gonna be switching it over and tapping into my return line, which is really not that big of a deal. I just gotta reposition some hoses and get new fittings. But I'm glad I read into that, because I didn't want to have those issues later down the road, and it could possibly, you know, set us back even further. But hopefully you guys like the way I mounted this. I think it came out awesome, and I am loving that rib nut tool. That thing is just well worth the investment. Another thing I did was I clocked my turbos. So Garrett recommends that you clock them 0 degrees, which would be parallel to the ground, or up to plus or minus 15 degrees. So I went ahead and did mine at 13 degrees, so we can hopefully get the proper drainage without having to use a scavenge pump. And surprisingly enough, though, I had to buy these little drain fittings from ICT Billet, because not even the manufacturer for these turbos makes the proper drain fitting for them. And they're 1.5 inch bolt spacing. And yeah, I couldn't find them. So I ended up having to get them through ICT Billet, which is even better because they're local to me. So shout out to you guys for that. But another thing that you guys saw me do was I put these, I'm trying to think of what they're called. I want to say like a fire ring inside of the wastegates. And those are a super important piece. Don't forget them, because if not, you will have a lot of issues with not building boost. Actually, you won't even build boost without them. And a lot of people forget them, so make sure you're not that guy. like I know what I'm talking about sometimes, but I promise you guys, I'm no different than a bunch of you guys, and I am still learning as much as I can. And there's no better way than learning than actually just trying it and doing it yourself. And with that being said, like these drain lines for the turbo. So I went ahead and used a 45-degree fitting off of the turbo, and I have it running over here to the fitting we welded on the oil pan. And so in theory, this should gravity feed into the oil pan, but I am a little bit afraid that it's too long and that it's not gonna have enough of a slope to make its way into the oil pan. But if that's the case, then we're just gonna have to add a scavenge pump. And for those of you guys that are not familiar with that, a scavenge pump is just an auxiliary pump that's gonna pump the oil from the turbo into the pan. That's all it is. But it takes up room and they're a little bit noisy. So I'm not really a big fan of them, but if we gotta run it, then we will. Over here to our punch list though, we are making some progress. So we can actually cross this off. Well, maybe. We're
not gonna wrestle here in a little bit?
Well, maybe.
Oh.
I heard stop getting cranky and tired.
Cross this off. We'll just pretend that's crossed off. We can cross that off. We can cross our intake air temperature sensor because it is complete. Our flex fuel sensor is pretty much done. I just gotta install 2 of the fittings, splice into that return line and install 2 of the fittings. I did find them at ICT Billet, so shout out ICT Billet for that. For always having everything in stock. Boost controller, I need to get an order coming because I got to order some stuff for the turbo oil feed. I got to get my intercooler pump and tank and the stuff to make my turbo lines along with this boost controller. The O2 sensors, I already have them. They're actually right here. This is the part number I went with, and this is what was recommended to me to work with the Cyvex. So I got 2 of those there, and I got the bung somewhere, so I just got to add those to the exhaust. And those are going to sit up here somewhere, but I'll show you guys when the time comes. So we got the O2 sensor there. Then vacuum lines, that's going to be one of the last things we're going to do. The alternator wiring, so thank God for LS stuff. They got 1-wire alternators. So what that looks like is literally this right here. Here's the part number if you guys are interested. But 1 wire that you run to a switch 12 volts if I'm not mistaken. And you'll have a working alternator after that. And then lastly we have this repair E-gear. So I promise you guys, I ordered the tap and helicoil set to repair that. And it was coming from overseas. It got shipped out, then it got delayed, and then they lost it. So I had to cancel my order, get my money back, and reorder it. But we do have it on the way, and it should be here this weekend. Hoping that it don't get lost again, because I am really nervous, and I'm trying not to think about fixing that thing, but I needed to get here to give me some confidence that that thing is able to get fixed. Speaking of the devil, look what showed up. The helicoil and tap set. So this should be the final piece to being able to repair our E-gear on the car. And I got even more exciting news, even though you guys might not be excited about this, but it's a big deal. So as you guys know, we got a lot left on the car. I mean, and it's a bunch of small things that I have been talking about. And we really need to knock these things out because I may or may not have set an appointment for January to take the car over to Dallas to get it all wired up. That's huge, you guys. I mean, that is literally once it's there and he gets it all wired up and God willing, everything goes right, we should be able to hear this thing fire up and possibly drive it for the very first time. I don't know about you, but I am super excited about that. And I actually had a little bit of a goal set in mind for this. And I'm really hoping that I can finish this up in the month of December. That is my goal, and I really think I can accomplish it. But we need to stop talking, and we just need to get to work and start knocking these things out. So I'm gonna go inside, go order some more parts so we can start putting those bad boys on. And I'm gonna see you on the next one. So make sure you guys drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of the build so far. Smash that subscribe button because you're not going to want to miss hearing this bad boy fire up for the very first time. And hit that like button because it helps the algorithm. But we'll see you on the next one. Peace.